Hi, this is Amy at the Virtual Planetarium at Raritan Valley Community College. Let's take a look at some of the things we can see in the sky for the week of June 28th. We're going to look for some solar system objects today and start in the daytime sky. No, we're not looking for the sun. We're looking for the moon. The moon spends as much time in the daytime sky as it does in the nighttime sky. The difference is that during the day, the moon can blend in with the blue of the sky. At night, it shines brightly against the dark background. If we look at the moon on Sunday, June 28th, you'll see it high in the south at 7 p.m. I've zoomed it up quite a bit so it's easier for us to see. If you watch it over the next few hours, you'll see how it drifts towards the western sky, like the sun and the stars move across the sky. All these celestial objects move because the Earth is rotating. The moon is also orbiting the Earth. Each day, it rises 50 minutes later than it did the day before. This rising later each day makes the moon move against the background stars. The moon was at first quarter on June 28th and will be full on the night of July 4th and 5th. At full moon, the moon rises at sunset and sets at sunrise. Okay, let's take that moon back to a more normal size, so it's not too big in our planetarium sky here. It's really only about half a degree wide in the sky. That's smaller than your pinky finger held out at arm's length. On Wednesday and Thursday, July 1st and 2nd, the moon will pass by Antares, the brightest star in the constellation Scorpius, the Scorpion. As the week moves along, the moon will pass the constellation Sagittarius, which looks more like a teapot than the centaur with a bow and arrow as it's usually depicted. So if you play connect the dots with the stars, you may imagine a handle right here, a triangular shaped lid, a triangular shaped spout, and the body of the teapot. That's usually a lot easier to find than the than the centaur with the bow and arrow. So the moon will keep moving and pass by Jupiter and Saturn. Let's take a closer look at those planets. We'll start with Jupiter. In 1609, Galileo was the first person to take a spyglass and point it up to the sky. His device could magnify objects 20 times. He observed the moon, the Milky Way, sunspots on the sun, which damaged his eyes, the rings of Saturn, though he didn't know what they were, and four of Galileo's moons. Four of Jupiter's moons. We call them the Galilean moons now. He called them after his patrons, the Medicis. So in his notes, he referred to them as 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for about 100 years, they were called the Medicean stars. We now call them the Galilean moons because Galileo discovered them, and they've been renamed Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Now, Galileo didn't know what he was looking at when he first saw them. He made lots of observations and took lots of notes. Here's a page from one of his notebooks. On the first line, you can see Jupiter is the circle, and he saw two, we'll call them stars, to the right of Jupiter. And the next night, there were two stars on the left and one star on the right. The third night, there were three stars on the right and none on the left. What the heck was going on? Stars don't move. That's when he realized these weren't stars, they were moons orbiting Jupiter. And you can see these moons too. Use a pair of binoculars and hold them steady. you may want to brace your arms on a table. Jupiter will look like a disk. Depending on your binoculars, you may see some of the stripes on the planet. Look for bright, star-like objects to the sides of Jupiter. Hello, Galilean moons. Which one is which? Well, there are a variety of stargazing apps available for your phone. You can also use the free software I use, Stellarium, for your computer. Now, if you make observations of Jupiter day after day, you'll see the positions of those moons changing as they orbit the planet. Okay, let's zoom out again and look for the other planet, Saturn. Galileo did observe Saturn, um, but he was a bit puzzled by Saturn. He wasn't sure what he was seeing. In 1610, when he made his first observation, he thought there might be two enormous moons orbiting the planet. 2 years later, when he observed Saturn again, the moons had disappeared. We now know that this is because the rings were edge on to our point of view, and this makes them invisible. But at the time, Galileo was very confused. It didn't help that a couple of years after he couldn't see them, now the moons had returned again. Galileo concluded he was seeing arms of some sort. It wasn't until 1659 that Dutch astronomer Christian Huygens solved the mystery. His improved telescope helped him deduce that Saturn had a ring system. Huygens also discovered Saturn's largest moon, Titan. Well, that's our sky for this week. Thanks for joining me in our virtual planetarium. We look forward to seeing you in our real planetarium in the future. Until then, take your own binoculars or telescope outside, or just use your eyes and keep looking up.